What's up, guys? Welcome into Good Morning Lambo. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on Packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. You can email us, PackersTotalAccess@gmail.com. You can text us 865-658-5824. Joined alongside Tim in Green Bay, going live a little early here, so don't expect a big crowd as we normally go live at 8:30 Lambo time. Today we're doing it at 8 because got to run some errands here as the Christmas season is upon us. And since the Christmas season is upon us, Tim, I think the folks should go out there and talk to the good folks at Ticket King, the official ticket provider of Packer Fan Total Access Live. Guys, you're looking to buy a gift. You want to get somebody, a significant other, some Packers tickets, or maybe just a gag gift for the Bears fan brother-in-law there too, man. Go to Ticket King and lock down your tickets. They've been the official ticket provider of Packer Fan Total Access. They've been Wisconsin-based since '92, specializing in Packers tickets. They're Wisconsin's largest ticket source with offices next to Lambeau and in Milwaukee. Just click on the link in the video description and send you their website, theticketking.com. You can register for free as a customer there and go ahead and start shopping for your Packers tickets. Again, that's Ticket King, the official ticket provider of Packer Fan Total Access Live. Tim, I know you guys got a gale warning up there. Got a little bit of snow flying off and on, I'm sure. How y'all doing? You holding up all right?
I tell you, the wind whipping around, rattling my windows on the second floor is what woke me up today in time to do the show. So, yeah, a little bit of winter wonderland up here. Not quite as cold as it is by you guys, which is crazy. It's like almost 30 up here. It's just windy with a little bit of flurries. So living life in Green Bay and loving it.
Yeah, we woke up to 16 degrees, and let me tell you, it feels like it's 10 degrees. The dogs, you let the dogs out, and they're looking at me like, bro, we ain't going to be out here long. You stay right close to that door. We're coming right back in. They are not having it today. I see people filing into the chat. Appreciate y'all swinging through. Dane Stromstad in the house. We got Prince in the house. Ron Samble. Biz in here. Good morning. Let's make a statement tomorrow. Amen to that. But tomorrow's game day, Tim. We're here, baby. This is awesome.
Let's
Anthony
go.
in the chat. Best part of the morning, a cup of jitter juice and PTA. I've never heard it called jitter juice, but that's pretty well described there. All right, so let's kind of go. Let's see what we can dive into first. One thing we didn't hit on very deep was the injury report yesterday. Other than the fact that I showed you guys on ESPN's website, it was showing that Taylor Decker was out. Now again, we haven't gotten that confirmed, and you can see he did not participate again. I want to say there was a couple other tweets where Dan Campbell, obviously the Lions coach, he had mentioned it's highly unlikely that he plays, is the way that the tweet kind of read. All right. So when we look at the change in the injury report for the Packers, and like I said, we won't spend a whole lot of time on this, but the only change was John Fitzpatrick from the tight end with the back injury went from limited to full participation. Elton Jenkins went from did not participate to limited participation. As we all said, I'm sure he's good to go. Aaron Mosby went from full participation to not even listed, so I'm sure he's good to go. That was a concussion protocol evaluation, so he's ready to roll. I was trying to see here, too. Romeo Doubs was limited both days. My guess is he'll probably clear. I have a hard time believing he won't. Josh Myers with the pectoral injury, still limited, so we're good there. That's all that changed on the Packers front. Now, on the Detroit Lions, you had Carlton Davis, cornerback with a knee, went from limited to full participation. Like I said, Taylor Decker did not participate. Everything else pretty much stayed the same. And, again, this injury list looks kind of short for Detroit, Tim, but the reality is they have an injured reserve list that is could just about fill a Pro Bowl roster, to be honest with you, on the defensive side of the ball. It's crazy.
What's really crazy is I don't know if you've seen any Aiden Hutchinson's rehab, but this dude, considering his leg is completely shattered and destroyed, looks like they're talking he could actually possibly get off of IR during the playoffs. Now, I don't know how likely that is, but the guy's a monster, man, and definitely on the rehab train and getting back healthy a lot quicker than expected. So something to keep an eye on there in the NFC North here.
Yeah, he plays the game the right way, man.
Yep.
I've been kind of breaking down in draft boards since roughly 2000. I think it's 2010, 2011. And listen, it's gotten more accurate and more refined every year. So 2010, 2011, I was an absolute knucklehead. Still am, but we've come a long way. But of all the years that I've done that with the draft, the year Aiden Hutchinson came out was like, man, this dude is the slam dunk pick. Like, this is – and if I remember correctly, he wasn't even the number one pick. I want to say Jacksonville took Walker over him. I could be wrong, but anyway, you're right though, Tim. He plays the game the right way, and I expect him back sooner rather than later. In comparison to other people who have had, like you said, their knee completely demolished or leg completely demolished. So
I mean, he broke both bones in his leg.
Crazy.
I mean, that's insanity. And this guy's already like, up kind of,
yeah,
It's amazing though. Like you said, we've come a long way in treatment and healthcare and stuff too. So these guys are obviously getting the best of the best, and recovery time is definitely quicker now. So crazy.
Yeah. So I'm just going to kind of walk through Twitter real quick. Got to give the updates around the league here. If you guys are keeping up with the college football playoff committee and all that, the most recent rankings came out, and Alabama with 3 losses leapfrogs Miami, and the whole college football world is, up in arms. It's hilarious. I just put a couple tweets out about that last night. I did say these college football fans arguing over the latest rankings is more entertaining than anything Hollywood has produced in the last decade. I'm just telling you, man, they were going at it, and it was hilarious. I just turned the TV off and just scrolled Twitter all night. It was funny. And I put Alabama checking the rankings, knowing they shouldn't even sniff the playoffs. You see Nick Saban with a little golf clap there, but it's one of those things that, again, it doesn't have anything to do with the Packers, but we know draft season is going to be right around the corner when the season wraps up. And I'm telling you guys, I guarantee you, if you talk to front office executives and ask them how they feel about the college playoffs, they love it because it gives them an opportunity to take 12 teams, arguably the 12 best teams. And I will continue to say it because there's always going to be somebody's going to be upset with who was the 12th team and who wasn't, right? But you're going to have 12 teams chocked full of pro-talented rosters for the most part.
Yep.
That are going to be entering the draft, and you're going to get to see firsthand how do they handle the most pressure. And from week to week, right? We were looking online. We were thinking about getting tickets to go up to the Notre Dame home playoff game. We were looking at that. Now, they're pricey, but, man, what a fun environment that's going to be too.
That's a bucket list thing for me. I've always wanted to go to South End for a game, man. Got to do it once. We
might need to try to figure out this winter where my work's real slow. We might want to try to figure out a day that we can meet up there, Tim, and maybe see if we could tour the stadium or something. I think that would be the second best thing.
That would be awesome.
Kind of hit a couple pubs in the area and all that. So anyway, college football is going to be awesome because, again, it's going to be geared up and giving you a much better in-depth look at these players playing under pressure. That's the whole point here. And it's
tell you, if you're a defensive guy like me, you're looking at Texas right now. I'm looking at that Texas defense, man. Goody, let's cook.
Notre Dame.
There's some dogs on that Texas defense.
Notre Dame got a few players too, if depending on who comes out, of course, but you got names like Benjamin Morrison, cornerback. There's a lot of people, like I said, in those top 12 teams that are going to be like, holy cow, these are going to be the next NFL stars. So really exciting. Now, speaking of current NFL stars, Tucker Kraft, I put a tweet out, and I want to give a shout out to Ryan Schlip. He had posted some stuff about Tucker Kraft, and it kind of triggered this in my mind. Like, hey, let me go look at some of the stats and see exactly what kind of year Tucker's having. We like to look at grades. We like to look at the tape, and it's very seldom that I go back and go, all right, let's comb through all the stats, unless there's like a big topic around it in the fan base. Like Rashawn Gary in the pass rush has been a big topic this year, so it was important to keep our finger on the pulse of, all right, who's actually performing the best in terms of the pass rush, so we don't buy into that false narrative and bashing people that don't need to be bashed, obviously. But Tucker Kraft, man, I put Tucker Kraft legit top 5 tight end, maybe top 3. In the tweet that went out, Ryan said, Tucker for me this year is like Jaden last year. I knew he was doing well. I didn't know if I realized how well. Among tight ends, he's 9th in yards, 2nd in yards per reception, 2nd in touchdowns, has the 2nd longest reception, and leads the NFL in missed tackles forced. Actually, that last one doesn't surprise me because obviously he's a dog with football in his hands. Now, I went to NFL Pro, and to the best of my knowledge, these numbers are correct here. But here's the graphic that I put out. I said Tucker Kraft has squashed the Packers' third-round curse while putting the sophomore slump talk to bed. So he's got 6 touchdowns on the year. According to NFL Pro, that makes him 3rd amongst all tight ends. 13.3 yards per reception, according to NFL Pro. That's 2nd in the league. And then a plus 126 yak over expected. That's 1st in the league. And I was telling Tim, and we'll pull it up here with the statistics and maybe even break down some of the tape. with that yak number, like he's like 30 or 40 ahead of the nearest guy to him, which is Brock Bowers, rookie. And Brock Bowers, we had a very high grade on, if I remember correctly. Yeah, he was worthy of the number 3 overall pick for me in the draft. That's how high he was ranked there. So we absolutely crushed that one for sure. Tim, Tucker Kraft, I'm gonna pull these stats up, man. And then we'll get to a little Week 13 preview. What are you thinking about Tucker here in these numbers, man? It's wild. You're muted, brother.
My bad. Sorry, I had to mute myself. I was screaming so loud here for Tuck Norris. No, that definitely deserves the old.
Here's a guy,
because he is definitely a guy, and I think what I like to see as of late is his emergence as kind of a weapon in the red zone, and I think utilizing him a little bit more, in the red zone situations. We all know he's a field stretcher. We all know we can go to him and get that yak. But I think we've seen it more than once this year that he's a good option in the red zone. Big target for Jordan Love, and LaFleur has really hit his stride probably these last 2 to 3 weeks of just being in his bag calling these plays. So just grateful Tuck Norris is a Packer, man. And you hit it on the head, man. That sophomore slump is non-existent with him. He's just going to do his job, roll up his sleeves, and show up every day kicking butt. So salute to Tucker Kraft for sure.
Yeah, he's a throwback, and he just plays the game the right way, no doubt. When you sort by touchdowns here, Tucker Kraft has 6. The only tight ends in the game that has more touchdowns than him is George Kittle at 8 and Mark Andrews at 7. Now, keep in mind, Mark Andrews has the MVP quarterback, essentially, is his quarterback too. So that number. Listen, I'm not dogging Jordan. I think Jordan Love is our quarterback of the future. I'm back. Like I said, that's something that we were looking to monitor through the second half of the season. Jordan's that dude. There's no doubt in my mind. Now, if you were to put Tucker Kraft with his yak ability on the same roster with Lamar Jackson, holy cow, man. It's untelling. His numbers would probably exceed George Kittle's or Mark Andrews', right? Yep. Because Jordan has struggled, turning the ball over and things like that. So, it's exciting, though, man. The other thing, if you look at yards, Tim, I want to point this out because it's interesting. You'll notice he's nowhere near the top in yardage, right? He's 11th in yardage at 480. But what I want you to key in on is look at the guys at the top, right, with the 840 yards. Look at the targets. 113 targets for Brock Bowers. Put that in perspective, 49 for Tucker Kraft. Like, he hasn't had near as many opportunities as some of your leaders, like the 113 of Brock Bowers or the 92 of Trey McBride or even the 61 of George Kittle, the 74 Jonnu Smith, Travis Kelce over 100 targets now. If you were to double Tucker Kraft's targets, you're looking at, what would that be, roughly 4.9? That'd be, 459. Right? I mean, be almost 1,000 yards receiving, right? You'd be over 900. You'd be leading the league in receiving yards if he got targeted as much as those guys. So it's important that when you look at the yardage to take into consideration that, when it comes to all the other stats, if you got the targets, be a lot better there. Obviously.
That's just a reflection of this Packers offense, right? We got a deep stacked receiver room, and Jordan's doing his best. Matt LaFleur's doing his best to kind of spread that football around. I think when you look at some of these other guys and, the teams and offenses that they're playing in, clearly the tight end is more of a point of emphasis in their offensive attack. Whereas, we've already said it. We use, Tucker Kraft, Ben Sims, those guys are used in a multitude of ways. And so you're right. They're not always getting the high target numbers, but I tell you, you tend to really remember every time Tucker Kraft is targeted because it usually turns into a highlight reel type play. So I think you're right, though, man. If he had double the targets, we might be having a totally different conversation here league wide about who the best tight end is,
Oh, yeah, we absolutely would. When you look at yards per reception at 13.3, that's second best in the league, only behind Kyle Pitts. George Kittle is behind Tucker Kraft at 13.0, then Sam Laporta at 12.6. So some would make the argument that we got the better tight end in that draft as opposed to Sam Laporta. And listen, Sam Laporta has done a lot more last year, I feel like, than Tucker did. Obviously, this year he's having kind of a down year. I don't know if injuries have played a role. It may have. But Tucker's beaten him in pretty much every category. I mean, when you look at it, Sam Laporta's got 31 receptions. Tucker Kraft's got 36, right? Tucker's got 480 yards receiving. Sam Laporta's only got 391. Tucker's got 6 touchdowns. Sam Laporta's got 5. Like I said, the yards per reception, Sam Laporta at 12.6, Tucker at 13.3. So got a higher catch percentage too when the ball's thrown to him. He's sitting at 73.5%. Sam Laporta's at 70.5%. Now, when you look at another key statistic here, the yak over expected, and I love this. This is kind of like the rushing yards over expected stat, with the running backs. It really kind of tells the whole story. But when you go to yak over expected, look at this number, bro. 1+126 for Tucker Kraft, and second place is Brock Bowers at a +91. Then you got George Kittle at +82, Jonnu Smith +63. I mean, George Kittle is, 44 less than Tucker Kraft in yak over expected. That's just a crazy. I mean, you're almost doubling, right? He's almost doubling Kittle in terms of yak over expected. And I was explaining to Tim too, when you look at some of these concepts, especially like we went back and watched the Lions game, and the infamous pick 6 that Jordan threw. You guys know I'm very, very cautious before halftime at getting too aggressive. I've been very vocal about that. If you're going back and watching the tape multiple times, I'm still feel that way, but Tucker Kraft was open on that play. And if Jordan doesn't try to hit the big shot there and just dumps it off, he's probably picking up 15 to 20 yards crossing the 50, and that game goes totally different, right? So the point is, if you can get at least 2 receivers on one side with Tucker Kraft, and let them clear out, whether it's a dagger or a slot cross, or even like last game, we or in that game, that specific play, as a matter of fact, we actually had the Z run and a deep out and had the slot run a climb across her, right? And then had Tucker leak out underneath. If you can do that on a consistent basis, you're going to continue to hit pay dirt here with Tucker Kraft underneath, because that's what they're doing. They're letting him leak out underneath, getting the ball in his hands, and it's all right. Good luck tackling this Badger here. This dude's going to be a mess to bring down. So
I love it because it takes the predictability out of an offense a little bit. If you're not always throwing a check down or a swing pass to a running back, like you said, you're using this high-low concept, and then you get big Tuck Norris going. And you're right, he's a dude that's tough to bring down once the motor's revved up and he's full speed going downhill. So I love it personally. I think it's something that we're seeing a lot more lately, and I think we're going to continue to see down the stretch here.
Yeah. And if we go to the tape and just look at a couple of explosives before we move on here, just to give you an idea of what Tucker Kraft's doing. This was week 1, guys. 29-yard gain, obviously an explosive pass. It looks to me here they're in it's not really a true bunch. I guess you could consider that bunch, but we're in Trey right, and it's a nasty split. So you see Tucker attached here. Let's see what route he runs here as we're playing out of the gun. Now we're going to go to dub left. We're going to cheat over that way. So now it's dubs. And look at Tucker just climb through, right? Just a shallow cross bang. Caught the ball at roughly the 39-yard line and takes it all the way down to the 15-yard line. Right?
Love it. No more hurdles either. Lower the shoulder, baby. Let's go.
Exactly. Here's another explosive for 21 yards. This was against the Titans. All right. So, again, you're in a nasty split. Looking for Tucker here. I'm thinking, yeah, here he is. So you're in a dub nasty set here. Out of ace, Tucker is strong right. He's attached, somewhat attached. And they're going to motion over to Trey right. Really kind of a bunch set. And we're going to run a little play action. And there you see Tucker working another underneath, right?
Yep.
Let's take it back. Let's get it.
Malik Willis, no hesitation, getting the ball out too. And that's what we've been talking about with Jordan too these past 2-3 games, is just more decisive with the football. In a situation like that, you're coming off play action boot, right? You turn and look, just hit the guy that's open, man. The more you try to scan back there, the more these plays can break down. And we're starting to get more of a rhythm on offense here.
Yeah. And again, this is the perfect example of what we're talking about. 2-3 targets on the same side as Tucker Kraft. You see he's blocking. He's going to shed and leak, catch the ball. Look, there's a defender right there on him, right? Yep. They played this perfect. It's just Tucker breaking the tackle, turning it upfield. That's what he does, man. So,
well, and even if he gets blown up there, and you're looking at minimal gain to no gain, it's still better than what we had seen in the past a couple times with Jordan forcing the issue down the field and getting a pick. Just hit that check down, hit that swing pass.
Yeah. So here's another example, and then we'll move on. This is in the Minnesota Vikings game. Another dub nasty look. We're strong right. So he is up top. They're going to motion over the F. And now we're back in the tray set, right? So out of the gun, tray set, Tucker block, shed, and we're leaking out to the right. Look at all that space in the flat. Perfect throw by Jordan to lead him back upfield too.
Yep.
Running to the sideline, and Tucker just making guys miss, man. So what you're noticing is when you go to tray, left or right, basically meaning two wide receivers plus Tucker Kraft on one side, stretch the field vertically, albeit if it's even to the mid-level, and get him freed up underneath, man. That's going to be the key to getting him the ball more moving forward for sure. So just wanted to, anytime we look at stats, I don't want this to just be a stat show. I don't want to be, all right, here's what his numbers are. We want to explain what happened or why did it happen. There's a perfect example of what's going on there. All right, so I love this. Nick McSwain, Tucker's out for blood tomorrow. He is, man, and listen, I believe him. I believe him 100%. When that dude talks, he's slowly becoming a tight end in the game that's letting the DBs know, bro, you guys are all flashy and you want to celebrate after you make a tackle and someone gains 8 yards. Yeah, we're coming to punish you. I just love that Tucker Kraft's got that in him for sure, man.
Absolutely. It is fun to watch a DB try to tackle him. It's quite entertaining.
Antonio Universe in the chat said Andrews is a juggernaut. He's got more experience at the position than Kraft. Kraft has a big upside. That's what's crazy is like, think of everything, all the knowledge that Mark Andrews has at the tight end position. And that's what Tucker Kraft doesn't even have yet. And you're seeing him keep up with him in numbers. Imagine when he learns the little nuances to the game. And it really does feel like Tucker takes care of his body and plays the game in a way where sometimes you play cautious and you stay on the end. And listen, I'm not trying to dog him, but it kind of feels like that's what Musgrave has done. You know, he's as tough as anybody. Don't get me wrong, out there playing with internal bleeding. But it's like when he catches the ball, it isn't that all of a sudden he doesn't know how to stand up, right? Because he has a hard time with the balance after catching the ball. You're kind of concerned, all right, who's coming? That type of thing. Let me absorb this hit. Tucker doesn't play like that. Tucker's like, bring it on, man.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Reckless abandon out there. He's one of them guys that's he's gonna play one way, and that's fifth gear, pedal to the metal all the time.
Yeah, no doubt. Nick McSwain in the chat says lung darts keep him safe. Amen. Amen. It's the it's
lung darts and bush lattes, baby.
Lung darts fighting off the free radicals out there, right? Got Drew D in the house. Good to see you, buddy. Says Tucker is a stud. All right, let's see here. Drew D says, I don't want Tucker getting as many targets as Brock Bowers because that's how you get a guy hurt. And they're not only are they doing that, but like with Brock Bowers, they're two different tight ends, right, Drew? Like Brock Bowers isn't your traditional attached tight end. He plays it, don't get me wrong, but his superpower is flexing out wide, right? Yep. Tucker can do that too, just like Brock Bowers can play attached. But Tucker's superpower is playing attached, leaking out underneath and getting that yak, right? I think he's definitely hands down better than Brock Bowers at getting the yak. There's no two ways about that. The big thing there with the comparison, like you said, of him getting too many targets, you're exactly right, man. You can get a guy hurt real quick, absorbing that many hits for sure. So Josh Martin, when is Musgrave coming back? We keep getting asked this every show, Josh. Not by you, but just people in general. We don't know. My guess would be right before the playoffs. I would say, week 16, 17, 18, somewhere around there. As soon as they said he was going to have surgery and they hoped to get him back this year, to me, that wasn't saying, all right, he'll be back for the playoffs. I kind of took that as if everything goes as planned, probably the last couple of weeks of the season, they would get him back. Now, here's the problem with that. You got this offense that's humming, right? And they're creating this continuity across the board. There's going to be rust with Musgrave when he comes back. There's also certain aspects of the offense, not that he isn't in the building and learning this stuff on the go. There's certain aspects of the offense that's changed, right? You kind of adapt as the season goes on. You take him out of the lineup, or you take Sims out of the lineup and put him in. Don't be surprised if there's a little hiccup there. So you got to kind of be careful what you wish for there. If we are that fan base that's like, man, we got to get Luke Musgrave back on the field ASAP. It's different when someone's kind of banged up, and this is just my opinion. I could be wrong, but when someone's banged up and they're hurt for a couple weeks, they come back, play 3 weeks, they go back on the injured list again, they miss a week or two and they come back. But when you're out for an extended period of time, that can create some serious rust. I believe that. So
I believe so too. Hopefully we'll get back to this, though, right?
Musgrave stayed on his feet.
Exactly. Prince in the chat, no update that I've seen on Musgrave since LaFleur said he had ankle surgery back around the bye week. Yeah, that's pretty much the last thing I had heard too, Prince. So let's see here. Coach Lynn in the chat, love the different ways Matt LaFleur gets to 4x1 to flood the zone. It really is awesome. And we see one true flood concept earlier in the year. It was a Dontavion Wicks touchdown catch at Lambeau against the Colts. I can't believe I remember this. At the Colts at Lambeau, and it was from Malik Willis. That was a true flood concept. And essentially with flood, you're flooding one side of the field, and it's designed to beat zone coverage, although it is a man beater too. You're flooding multiple levels of the field, right? And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Coach, but what he's saying is you can even get to a 4x1 flood by bringing a receiver from across the field into that. So essentially, if you're attacking at three levels with a flood-like concept, a flat, an out, and a corner, something like that, and then you've got the opposite target or even a running back running a circle route or that opposite target running a dig or a crosser, that's how you can kind of get four guys in. So you're kind of clearing the area out with that flood concept. You got your high-low read, probably a mid-read mixed in there too, depending on what the pre-snap look is. And then you got another guy once they clear out. If you've got time to get to that read, the backside's wide open too. LaFleur is one of the best. There you go. Tupac LaFleur is one of the best at scheming up the passing game, man. There's no doubt in my mind. He's top three, if not the best pass game, schemer in the entire National Football League. So,
amen. Future coach of the year.
Right. Nick McSwain says, any idea how many missed tackles have the Packers forced in the last 2 weeks? Seems like a lot. We could pull that number, but I'd have to go through
91% of them are from Josh Jacobs cooking guys.
Right. I'd have to go through each individual player and kind of look at the broken tackle percentage for the play. So unfortunately, I don't have enough time for that, but I would like to know that stat. If anybody hearing my voice, I know we got people like Robert reached out to me yesterday through text message, and hearing from Andy Monday. Everybody, the text line's been lit up. Zach as well. A bunch of different people in here. Anybody wants to look that up, that'd be a really, really cool statistic to see. How many missed tackles have the Packers forced in the last 2 weeks? Like Nick says, it seems like a lot for sure. So Josh Vallanningham just woke up. Good morning, PTA family. Good morning, buddy. Appreciate you swinging through. Jen Wright in here. Good morning. Sorry, we went a little early. I know everybody caught everybody off guard, but I have to run my wife to a couple towns over, and we got to get out and run some errands this morning. So trying to protect the marriage there, if you know what I'm saying. She's going to have me – it's too cold to sleep outside right now, Tim. If this was late spring, I'd push the envelope a little bit, but I ain't sleeping out in the 16-degree weather, man.
Amen. So, amen. You got to do what you got to do, man. Stay warm.
Right. Exactly. Let's look at the playoff picture real quick. Like I said, not much has changed, but I want to give you guys a glance at this going into each game week.
Playoffs?
And tomorrow is game day. So in the AFC, Kansas City's the 1 seed. Buffalo's the 2, Pittsburgh's the 3, Houston's the 4, LA Chargers are the 5. LA Chargers, I always wonder if I get that right. LA Chargers are the 5, Baltimore Ravens are the 6, and the Denver Broncos are the 7. Now, man, what an interesting year they're having. They're really starting to crank it up. Sean Payton got that thing humming over there. In the NFC, though, more obviously applies more to the Packers. Detroit Lions, the 1 seed. Philadelphia Eagles are the 2 seed. The Seattle Seahawks are the 3 seed. The Atlanta Falcons are the 4 seed. Minnesota Vikings are the 5. Green Bay Packers are the 6. And the Washington Commanders are the 7. All right, so that's how the seeding lines up. If the playoffs were to start today, you would have the Detroit Lions with the first-round bye and the Kansas City Chiefs with the first-round bye, right? We'll just stick with the NFC here. The Washington Commanders would play at Philly. The Green Bay Packers would play at Seattle, and the Minnesota Vikings would play at Atlanta. So really what could potentially change here in the next few weeks, we could either go up a seed, go down a seed, or obviously could stay the same. If we go up a seed, the question is, would you rather play at Seattle or at Atlanta? I think the answer for me would be at Atlanta. So, and obviously you want to win every game you can in case the Detroit Lions, let's say you beat the Detroit Lions this week and then they hiccup and lose a couple more games and you somehow, some way end up winning the North. That would be awesome to be able to host a playoff game. So, Tim, anything you want to add to that, man, or anything stick out to you here in terms of the playoff seeding?
Echo that sentiment right there. let's keep winning. Maybe we can, steal this division here. Last game of the year, right? We got a couple divisionals to end the season, right? Vikings and Bears, back to back. Chance to maybe steal the North. In theory, it's not mathematically impossible. However, it all starts tomorrow night with a dub in Motown. You got to beat Detroit for any of that to even have a remote chance of happening. We don't get the job done tomorrow night. I think it's pretty much a wrap for the division. And I'm with you, Clay. It's been a while since we've seen playoff football at Lambeau Field. As a matter of fact, I was at that game the last time we had a playoff game. The infamous Aaron Rodgers and good old Randy Cobb walking into the tunnel in disappointment. We all remember that one. So it's time to hopefully get another home playoff game and get some Packer victories in the playoffs at 1265. I'm all for it. I like this. Jen Wright is absolutely correct. Detroit has Buffalo next. So there's a path, right? We hand them that L tomorrow night, and then they catch another one the following week to Josh Allen and the Bills, and all of a sudden we're cooking with Crisco, right? Let's go.
Yeah. Could be huge, man. That's going to be a hell of a game to watch there. And again, we'll see if the injuries have finally caught up with Detroit this week. If they come out and they look like the same Detroit Lions and they beat the Packers by a couple scores, man, that Lions-Bills game is going to be very, very interesting, right? That's going to be absolutely wild. As we look at the Week 14 slate here, and shout out to Nerding on NFL for providing this graphic. They're absolutely awesome. Go give them a follow over on X. So obviously the Packers kick off Week 14 at the Detroit Lions for the Thursday night prime game of the week there. Then you got the New York Jets. In terms of the 1 o'clock games, let's run through them real quick, okay? And I'm going to continue to say 1 o'clock because that's what the graphic shows, and that's my time, okay? Obviously, it's going to be 12 Central Lambeau time. You got the Jets at the Dolphins.
Wow, battle of the dumpster fires right there.
Yeah, I'm telling you, that's going to be interesting. Browns at the Steelers. That rivalry used to mean something. Although Jameis Winston, Tim, he is must-see TV, man. That dude is. Yeah. God. I mean, what did he end up? He ended up setting, I think, a franchise record for passing yards while also throwing 2 pick sixes. That's
Jameis Winston to a T, right?
Yeah. That's what Pat McAfee said yesterday. That's Jameis Winston football right there, baby, and we love it. So, Jacksonville Jaguars at the Tennessee Titans. You got the Las Vegas Raiders at the Buccaneers. Let's look at the Buccaneers here. They're sitting at 6-6. All right. Yep. So we're going to be Raider fans there in that game. Next game, New Orleans Saints at the New York Giants. Obviously, the Saints they're pretty much out of the hunt now, right? Yeah, 4-8, they're done. Yep. The Giants obviously were done when the season kicked off. They're sitting at 2-10. So we'll have the Saints coming up, and they're without Taysom Hill. So that game there might be a little bit closer than people may expect. But again, that's a 1 o'clock kickoff. You got the Carolina Panthers at the Philadelphia Eagles. We want somehow, some way, the 3-9 Panthers to beat up on Philly. There's no two ways about that. And then, of course, you got the Atlanta Falcons at the Minnesota Vikings. I know as Packer fans, that's my 1 o'clock game, Tim. It's going to be
Let's go, Dirty
game.
Birds. Let's go.
Absolutely. Just like a Packer game, man. You know what? We might go live during that if I've got time. We may do that. We'll see. But so again, tomorrow, Packers Lions. And then of course, when it comes to the 1 o'clock games, you got a few games in there you want to keep an eye on, but mainly that Atlanta Falcons at Minnesota Vikings. Because again, if Tampa loses, imagine if Tampa loses and Atlanta loses too, then the leader of the NFC South will be sitting at what would they be at? 5-6. It would still be Atlanta, and they'd be sitting at 5-6 leading the division. That's crazy to think about, man. But maybe the Falcons can pull that off, though, man. They're sitting at 6-6. They're not a bad football team, right? It'd be awesome if they could beat Minnesota there in 1 o'clock window.
I think it's possible. I mean, you look at the way the Bears played the Vikings. I think Atlanta's clearly a better team than Chicago. So hopefully they get the dub.
Yeah. Definitely. So it looks like our boy Ron Samble is running down the numbers for us. We're going to hit the 4 o'clock window next here. But before we do, Ron Samble says the Dolphins missed 20 tackles against the Packers. Okay. Ooh. So that was 24 missed tackles, right? And then he came back and said the 49ers missed 19. So 39 in the last 2 games. Thank you so much, Ron. That is an awesome statistic. Thank you for looking that up, buddy. You are the man. Packers are getting even better at the yak. No doubt about it. The yak and obviously the Broken tackle percentages going through the roof. So, all right. So going to the 4 o'clock window, you got the Seattle Seahawks at the Arizona Cardinals. When you look at the standings there, the Seahawks are sitting at 7-5, and the Cardinals are right behind them at 6-6. So that's going to feel like a playoff game there, Tim. That's going to be a fun 4 o'clock window game for sure. Then you
it'll be fun to watch that one. See if Kyler Murray actually wants to play football this week.
God, was that not frustrating last week, man? Like, the Vikings tried to give them that game, you know?
That's terrible.
It was terrible, Chuck. You got Buffalo at the LA Rams. The LA Rams sitting at 6-6. So let's say that the Cardinals somehow beat the Seahawks, right? And they're both 7-6. And let's say somehow, some way, the Rams end up upsetting the Buffalo Bills at home, right? All three of those teams would be 7-6. My guess is the way this will shake out, though, Seattle will beat Arizona, and I think that the Buffalo Bills will take care of business. But again, you never know, man. Arizona's at home in this game. So, and that game last week, they were on the road in Minnesota, weren't they? Am I thinking right, Tim?
Yeah.
The Cardinals
in Minnesota. Yeah. Yep.
So that's going to be a fun game. Again, that's going to feel like a playoff game there. Many of these are because like the Rams are fighting for their playoff holes. So everybody's back's against the wall here. It's going to be awesome.
Playoffs? Don't talk.
The next game, the Chicago Bears at the San Francisco 49ers. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey, from what I understand, is out pretty much for the year. I'm pretty sure is what they said.
Did you see that? Did you see his calf on that replay? Holy cow.
It's crazy, too, because it was the left calf on the video, but then people were saying that it was the right knee that was injured. So and maybe they both got injured. I don't know.
Say both could be true. Yikes.
It looked weird. Like what Tim's talking about, if you guys haven't seen it, it's like it almost looked like an Achilles where the muscle, the shock reverberates through the entire muscle, right?
Yep. And that's that playing on that fake surface,
Yep.
You're in Buffalo. You're not only are you on the fake surface, you're on the fake surface half frozen and covered in snow.
Right.
It's just, I'll tell you what, though, watching that play, man, McCaffrey, I think the smartest thing he did is he gave himself up immediately and went right to the ground. You got to think he tries to run through that play. You could do some serious damage.
Yeah, Mrs. Green in the chat said Tim is so anti-turf. Mrs. Green, I'm almost positive that me and Tim are long lost brothers. I swear, like we agree on all this. It needs to be played outside. It needs to be played on grass. All that. I hate turf, man. I've hated it my entire life. It just and dome games, Tim. God, they drive me crazy, dude. It's like, why does it now? It helps when they've got the glass up top, like Minnesota, where you get some sunlight in, and it kind of feels like, okay, this still feels a little bit like football. But when you get these, these stadiums that don't have that, these domes, and it seems like moving forward, we will get the sunlight and everything in the stadiums. But man, it's depressing, is it not?
Yeah, I'm not a fan at all. If I wanted to see that, I'd go watch arena football or something in the off season.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see here. Drew D in the chat. CMC's PCL got hurt, which I believe can happen from overcompensating due to a bad Achilles. It kind of all makes sense now, right? And Drew said turf isn't grass, it's carpet. You got that right, man.
Mrs. Green firing from the hip. Turf is for potty training pets. I love it.
You heard it from a fan right here.
Ron Sandville, turf is nice for putting in front of my camper door. That's about it.
Pretty much it. That's it. I remember as a kid, they had that outdoor carpet that looked like grass on porches and stuff in the neighborhood. Yep. How many times, boy, I burn up an elbow or a knee falling on that stuff, man. God.
That's basically the same stuff that was like the beginning of turf, right?
Yeah.
Concrete slab down there in the what was the first dome? Was it the Astrodome in Houston was the first?
Yes, that stuff was horrible.
They just rolled out the cement and threw half an inch of carpeting over it and said, "Go play ball, guys."
It's crazy, man. Absolutely crazy. All right, so again, in that 4 o'clock window, all three of those games are going to be watchable, but I'm going to be keyed in on the Bears and the Niners just to hopefully see the Bears absolutely crap the bed again. We're almost to the point now, though, Tim, where you want the Bears to start winning so they get a bad pick, Yeah. that would make a lot of sense, too. Like, when you look at it, we'll go back one graphic here real quick. In the far right column here from Nerding on NFL is the draft order. So as it sits right now, the Jacksonville Jaguars have the first pick, the Raiders with the second, the Giants with the third, Patriots fourth, Panthers fifth, You've got the Jets with the number 6 pick, the Titans with the 7th, Browns with the 8th, Bengals with the 9th, Saints with the 10th, and the Bears are right now in that 11th spot. So it almost makes sense as a Packer fan to want the Bears to win a few games. Imagine if they win a couple of games and some of the teams that are below them in this draft order, lose a couple. What you could see happening is them going from 11, just a couple of game difference, man, right?
Yep.
Would you could see them go from 11th to like 17th, right? That could happen in a blink of an eye. So something to keep an eye on there too, for sure.
For sure.
All right, Sunday night football. This should be a dandy. You got the LA Chargers. Obviously, Jim Harbaugh out there completely changing the culture in LA with the Chargers. Are going to be traveling to Kansas City. Going to be a night game. Probably going to be pretty chilly out there. It might be a little weather involved too to face the Kansas City Chiefs. As you see, the Chargers are sitting at 8-4 in the same division as the Chiefs at 11-1. And it looks like, as it sits right now, the Chargers would be the second wild card team there, right? So,
well, best of luck to the Chargers as they take on the Kansas City Chiefs and the NFL officials.
And these guys right here, right?
This guy.
We can go ahead and delete that, actually.
Yeah, let's delete that.
Get that one out. Now, this one will stay here forever.
Oh, yeah. Ron Tolbert's on. He's up there.
Sure.
When he's not filming episodes of Reno 911, of course.
I need to find that clip and just loop it sometimes of him. It's like he's holding his hands up going, whoa, 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 trying to stop a fight. We need that to just loop while we do the show. And then Monday Night Football, for those who are interested, I don't know why you would be. You got the Cincinnati Bengals at the Dallas Cowboys, as Big Mike is just, I think it's just a formality now, Tim. He's probably going to be gone after this year down there in the Big D. And then you got the Cincinnati Bengals are currently 4-8. So it's the 4-8 Bengals at the 5-7 Cowboys. My, oh my, how times, man, things changed so quick, Tim. It was what, 2 years ago, the Bengals were in the Super Bowl, and last year the Bears or the Cowboys last year were a 13-win team.
Yep. I mean, hell, look at San Francisco. They were in the Super Bowl last year, and they're clinging to life. I mean, their season's all but over with as well. So yeah, NFL baby, not for long, right?
That's it, man. Not for long when you play like that. Last thing we'll hit on here real quick. If you look in the lower right, well, first of all, let's go to the most rushing yards. Josh Jacobs is currently 3rd in the league at 987 yards rushing, only behind Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley. And then if you go to the lower left, most offensive yards per game, the Green Bay Packers are 3rd in the league at 382.9 yards per game, only behind the Lions, who are 2nd. We're playing this week, obviously. And then the Ravens running away with it at 422.5. Obviously, having Derrick Henry running the rock there at 1,400 yards, averaging 5.9 yards a clip. And then you got Lamar Jackson, who I think is the front runner for MVP currently as it sits. That could change, and I haven't looked at it lately. It just feels like when you look at the statistics, it's like, man, if they go on a bit of a run there in the playoffs, he's probably going to win MVP. Now, when you look at the defensive least yards allowed per game, I know there were many people in the offseason just absolutely ragging on the Fangio defense, and Vic Fangio doesn't know what he's doing. It's the game's passed him by. Guys, Vic Fangio is still Vic Fangio. And that bend but don't break defense, he has evolved it again. And they have the Eagles have arguably the best defense in the league right now, only allowing 282.8 yards per game as it sits right now. So Vic Fangio still doing Vic Fangio things up there in Philly. Tim, as we get ready to wrap up, man, anything else you want to hit here before I drop this graphic down and we go ahead and close out?
No, I think we covered most of it. Looking forward to seeing Josh Jacobs crack the 1,000-yard mark. It's going to be awesome.
I agree, man. It's always nice to see that. Drew D with the super chat. Thank you so much, buddy. We appreciate you. He says, Edgerrin Cooper's cleat cause was happy ever after. The animal rescue I volunteer at. And yesterday, Rasheed Walker came in to help volunteer with the dogs and the cats. Dude, that's what's up, Drew. That's awesome, man. Anybody who knows me, you hear it from time to time. You hear my dogs. I'm a big dog person. Always have been, always will be. It's just something that, it's near and dear to my heart. And we've always had rescues. These 2 German Shepherds were the first dogs I've ever had that weren't rescues. And my old baseball coach who been battling some illness. So shout out to him, praying for him still. He reached out to me back a couple years ago and was like, hey, I've got a litter, a whole, a new batch of German Shepherd pups, full-blooded. You want one? I said, I want one. I want 2. Let's get there. That again, it's just dogs are awesome, man. If you're one of those people that you've never had a dog and you're like, I don't know, get one. man. They're going to add, I'm telling you, they're going to add years onto your life, man. I got my
So-
brother's dog here now too. Since he passed away, we kind of brung him in, and man, he's so used to being the only child, Tim.
You're not getting along with his siblings.
He gets along okay, but he wants everybody to know I'm more important than everyone else. And I know my brother on a daily basis is looking down, laughing, going, I'm so glad you're stuck with him. This is hilarious. So it is what it is. But Drew D, thank you so much for the super chat. And that's awesome, man. Edgerrin Cooper, obviously big on animals, and Rasheed Walker coming in to help too, man. It's so easy to root for the Green Bay Packers, man.
It is. There's a lot of animal lovers on that team. I remember last year the community coming together to find Emmanuel Wilson's dog who ran out of the apartment on his way to practice. And it was just great, man. You know, you do see it, though. There's a lot of pet owners on the Packers for sure.
Yeah. I remember that, too. It was awesome. See, Tim was like, I'm going to go out and help Emmanuel find his dog. They had half of the town of Green Bay out there running around trying to find
Man, they had trail cams set up. They had, it was great. And great to hear that ultimately he was reunited with his dog, Mark. Mark made it home.
Of course, his name is Mark, right? Of course. It's like ours. We've got one. His name's Nitschke, right? He's a little rescue, and on his papers it says Raymond Nitschke on it, right? On his papers, and Lincoln, Mandy named Lincoln and Etta. Lincoln is Abraham Lincoln Bailey. Okay, that's on his papers. Etta is Etta James Bailey. If you guys don't know who Etta James was, she was a singer. That was we picked the song "At Last" was the song we danced to at our wedding. So we named her Etta James. It's just funny to hear people's dogs named Mark, Joe, stuff like it's hilarious, man.
Love it.
But all right, guys, that's it. Enough dog talk. But thank you so much, Drew. That's awesome to hear, man. The players helping out over there. We'll be back tonight, PTA Live, 7 p.m. Central. We're going to look at the full PFF preview. And then, of course, tomorrow we'll be geared up for a pregame show, post-game show. I might do a morning show tomorrow, too. It just depends on what the schedule looks like. I got to run Mandy to the airport early in the morning. So if I can get back in time, we may hop on here and talk a little ball. But we will definitely be doing a pregame show and a post-game show, as it'll be game day, man. I'm excited about it. Tim, you got anything else, bub?
Go Pack, go, baby. Green and gold till we're dead and cold. Let's beat Detroit.
All right. We're out, guys. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us. For those of you listening on the pod, thank you for making us a part of your day. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world.
Thanks for watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Green Bay Packers content. Created for the fans by the fans. Hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you know whenever we go live. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Packers_access. Go Pack, go. Have a great day.